Gotta go down.
Sorry. Hi, I'm Jamie Francis. The Wrong People is a movie that my brother and I made. We're the Francis brothers. We made it for about $500. We like to say $500 US, which is like where we live in Canada. It's about, worth about $650, $700 Canadian, which is kind of like where we spent the money. We started shooting this in July of 2014. We're watching behind the scenes here. This is at a family friend's little room they had in their house. And we shot, this was like the first days of shooting. And yeah, very first time we shot with Logan Nielsen, our kind of a co-lead. Well, I guess supporting character. There's like really like 3 or 4, there's about 4 main characters. It's a very small, it's a small cast. This stuff's from the bar. This is a bar we shot at underneath this restaurant that we got permission to use. They were really cool. Alice's Restaurant in Nanaimo. Big shout out to them. Again, like you shoot these movies with like very low budget, so you just have to like find locations that will let you do them for very little. That's kind of like the key.
Speed.
Action. We shot this on a GH4 4K camera, one of the early 4K on a kind of a more consumer level, prosumer, I guess they call it. You can pick them up for about, just over $1,000 now, but it's a good little camera.
Are we sure he was?
So the Firebird. The Firebird was a cousin's car that hadn't ran for a while, and yeah, it didn't run very well, if at all. I don't think it ran. No, like we could barely start it or start the battery on it. So we kind of during crunch time we decided to just end up using this Firebird. Ended up being, it's a cool car, but we couldn't move it around. So the problem is we had to get a miniature for it. So we used that, and these are some of our first tests that we did using the miniature. It's actually quite expensive. Well, expensive for our budget. It was like $90, I believe. It was kind of one of the biggest expenses we did on the movie. But then we used that Firebird to match with the practical one that we had for most of the shots. So I think it sort of works. Unfortunately, like even the miniature is not even blue, like the car to match. It was like silver. We didn't even end up painting it just because we knew it would look kind of crappy. So we just sort of colored it in post as best we could. I think it still sort of pulls off. This is we shot a lot of the stuff just in the backyard of my uncle's house, our uncle's house, and just in the backwoods, really. It's just, there's plenty of woods around where we live and stuff, so it's not too tough of a get.
Sweet, I could handle something.
You're like, oh my god.
Oh my god.
Try to put the ring on the finger.
Logan's trying to make sense of the script here.
You're missing the ring, the top one, man. It makes it hard.
There's words there? Dan's wrecking the place here.
Totally blanked on out there. What the fuck should I do? Probably just tape it like around here.
Really high tech here. But this is high budget.
Right? Yeah. Yeah, you're just fucking, but like nice and slow, and you're just like. Here's some little practical effects we did with Rick Myers playing Uncle Mike. We just Dan just whipped it up really quickly. It was just some fake blood and some putty, I believe. It was some sort of a skin putty, like almost like a latex, but it was pretty cheap, like a Halloween type thing. It was a quick effect that we just needed to do, really really quickly, and it wasn't super involved.
Pretty cool. Without the dirt in it yet?
You wanted a little bit of on me?
So we were looking around for this. We wanted to have a lot of like kind of not antique, but just sort of like a little bit aged stuff. We didn't want to have a lot of cell phones or anything, although we do end up having a few cell phones in the movie. But a lot of the guys use like pay phones and like big clunky old phones. And this phone here was actually it was interesting. It was actually in Rick's house. We were looking around for weeks, I think, looking for this payphone, or like a kind of a payphone for a bar, and it ended up being like in his kitchen. He's like, yeah, I got one in my kitchen, and it just, some things just end up like that. It's kind of bizarre, but it's such a cool telephone. So, yeah, I'm glad we got that. This effect was like, it's actually, Dan made it by using some gelatin, I believe, and he froze it or put it in the fridge, I believe, and just sort of made it solidify to make the finger. It ended up being a little bit too jelly, but it still pulls off, I think. It's such a really quick effect when, spoilers, when Logan playing Junior gets his finger chopped off. Just a really quick, it's probably like 6 frames. And then we also use it later when Star and Uncle Mike actually end up with the finger. They kind of play with it, but it's very quick shots, like you barely see it. But I think it pulls off. I mean,
Not bad. That looked good. I think that's gonna look great.
And where am I now? Do I say fuck you?
Yeah.
Oh, I like that. Tell me what it says, and then I can see. Oh, it's
Fuck you, it's public property. Give me the phone.
fuck you. I like that. Okay. Fuck you. It's public property.
the
Give me the
cast,
phone.
Mary Ellen here. This is Mary Ellen, a family friend of ours. She's great. She's just the sweetest lady, and she played our prostitute, who actually ended up being kind of like a fan favorite, Parking Lot Lily. And she's in it so fleeting, but she has a pretty good impact on the movie.
Able to do it again.
I'm serious.
Hey Mary, so you're playing a lady of the night
Yes.
in this movie,
Yes.
and what are you doing later this morning?
Going to church. Yes.
This is just a quick little scene here that we shot just sort of in the Glenora, Duncan, Cowichan Valley area. We just kind of went to the side of the road and shot it. But it was, but the funny thing is, like, the leaves on it in the scene were actually just collected over the fall, because this scene, I think it was shot in the summer, the next summer. So we just had these leaves from the previous fall because this shoot spanned a few years. So we just saved it and threw it on the car and stuff. Just a little tidbit there. I don't know. Our little boy that shows up in the movie, Matt, just came out and did this. Had no acting experience or anything, and he actually couldn't even ride a bike. So we had to like push him around with his little bike.
Action?
Yeah.
It's kind of funny.
Wait a minute. The Royal River Kings are on the road for 2 weeks.
Maybe even do that. Yeah, perfect. And maybe like this too. Like 2 weeks. Like you kind of look at that.
2 weeks.
Yeah. That'd be perfect.
And just stop where you were. Like try to get as close as you can to the he's clear. And Bob, put that. And then just ignore me and the camera. Okay. We also made these hockey cards that the boy has, and he's sort of matching them to like Dan is pretending he's one of the hockey players for the hockey team, the local hockey team. And a lot of the cards didn't get in the movie, but we made a bunch. We made one for Scotty, our cousin, who lives out in Ontario, and I don't even think they know that we did this, but we made cards for him. And just Jeff Dickinson, a buddy of ours that were in a bunch of our first early movies, and we got to get him into some other stuff next. He didn't make it in The Wrong People, but he did make it in as a hockey card. And then we had a buddy Dom from Germany. He's a hockey card in it. I think we had a bunch of other people too. It was pretty funny. Scene where Thule is driving his car at the interior, and it's literally Tim in Dan's living room with like an LCD screen behind him playing, looping back this like TV or street light, just driving footage. It's kind of goofy. I think it sort of works. I don't know. We shot this scene pretty late. This is like Dan. I found this culvert when I was walking one day, and like this little under the road like waterway thing, or I don't know what they call them, but I thought it would be cool if Greg just kind of ran through there as he's getting chased by Mike, sort of. And so I got Dan to. It's just by his house actually. So we got him to jump in, but unfortunately, like while I think we were clearing the thing a little bit because it was a little, had a lot of sticks in the way and stuff. He fell in to this big, and it was a lot more water than we thought. And he actually had a brand new phone that he had in his pocket, and I think it fried it. And it was like we weren't even rolling. And the joke is that I'm never rolling when like that kind of stuff happens. You know, I'm usually behind the camera, but I usually get blamed for not rolling on those.
Callie, what are we doing? Hey, Callie. What are we doing? Are we making movies?
This is a shot just by Dan's backyard, or actually just off his yard, and his little kid Cal. Is so fun. It's funny that he's so young here because he's already I think he's 3 or 4 now, and he was our basically the only other crew member we had, and he was holding the helmet and stuff. We needed him.
Dan, what's up? Okay, sound rolling? Shot 2. Yeah, pretty sweet, eh? What? Truck, Mike?
First of all, it doesn't even have a real trunk.
Say backward.
I find it anyway. You're gonna have a real truck.
Anything else?
Do you want a coffee?
Thanks for watching.